We are live for AEW Revolution predictions here on the Squared Circle Psychobabble. My name is Michael Valenti. Joining me is Ralph Valenti. Ralph, there's a lot of matches on this card. Nine matches altogether. A lot of possible surprises. We got the big signing later on. It's going to be a very newsworthy pay-per-view, to say the least.
It's going to be very newsworthy, and it's going to be one of the largest dynamites following this pay-per-view. I think every time we have one of these reviews or predictions, we always talk about the ramifications coming out of the pay-per-view. So this dynamite that's going to be coming up following the pay-per-view is important. One, because we're going to get the reveal tonight. We're going to know who that big star or that big name is that's going to be signing with AEW. We're going to get somebody that's going to be essentially filling in the ladder match. So that mystery opponent, whoever's going to fill in there, that's certainly big news. And we also got this dynamite that's going to be following the dynamite where Shaq wrestled. So we know that Shaq did certainly bump the viewership for that match specifically that he was involved in. How many of those people saw what they liked and are going to tune in next week, especially following the pay-per-view? So I'm hoping they do strong numbers next week on Dynamite, but it's all going to depend on what the fallout is from this pay-per-view, I think.
I totally agree, but I mean, over 1.3 million people watched the Shaq match this past week, so that's pretty big. And in the 18 to 49 demographic, it wasn't the highest rated segment. I believe the third quarter hour, I forget exactly what it was that was in that third quarter, but I'm sure someone could tell me in the live chat, but that was the highest as far as the demo. So it seemed like the 18 to 49 demo stayed throughout the whole show, whereas a lot of people outside that demo watched the Shaq match, left, but then it stayed pretty flat from the rest of the show. So I think they're going to pull a decent number, but it all depends on how this whole thing follows through tonight. And does the exploding barbed wire match follow through? Is it too graphic for some people? Because some people said that the non-sanctioned match between Moxley and Omega was too much. Does this go past that? I think it will. Who is this big signing that Paul White teased? Who's going to be in the face of Revolution? There's so many tag teams that are in the tag team battle royal. Do we see tag teams in there? Do we see, I guess, in the buy-in match? Let's go to that, actually. We have Riho and Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker and Rebel. Apparently, Rebel is injured, so if she's not going to be a part of this, does Britt Baker bring in somebody? And if so, who is it? If not, does it become a handicap match? And does Britt Baker's team win regardless?
Yeah, this is going to be interesting, especially because I think a lot of people felt like the tournament itself was going to play into this feud, and that ultimately didn't happen. And it's kind of unfortunate that the feud that, to me, most people were kind of starting to get invested into, because most people agree there's one weakness with AEW. If there's one weakness, it's the women's division and the way it's been booked. This seemed to be like the feud that was going to get people invested. One, because Britt Baker has very much improved over the course of the last couple of years, and she's really starting to make this persona her own. And Thunder Rosa, I guess, is one of the bigger names, outside of WWE as far as women wrestling is concerned. So you would think that they would revolve a small portion, if not the entire tournament, around, the culmination of that feud there. That's not happening. Unfortunately, this is going to be on the buy-in. I think Britt Baker's team, whether it's her and Rebel or whoever it ends up being, I think Britt Baker has to win this, because this feud, to me, still has a lot to be desired. Like, there's still more they can get out of this. There's still more people want out of this feud. And I think in order to progress that, Britt Baker has to kind of sneak one out here, or cheat to win, or just, she'd be able to brag that she's going 2-up now on Thunder Rosa. So that's where I see this going.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think at this point, well, the first thing first is the fact that NWA is coming back, which means Thunder Rosa's probably Thunder Rosa's last match in AEW, unless they do some kind of, crossover partnership thing. So I definitely think there's going to be some kind of Britt Baker win here. Does Rebel participate in this? Probably not, but the question is who becomes her partner. I've seen in the live chat right now, Deonna Purrazzo is a possibility, Zelina Vega, also Nyla Rose. There's a lot of people you could throw in there. I personally would think given the history with Nyla Rose and Thunder Rosa, and also Nyla Rose and Riho, I think Nyla Rose becomes the tag team partner, dominates, and Britt Baker wins without pinning anybody, and she brags about beating Thunder Rosa and Riho.
That sounds like an option that I think could certainly happen. And I'm just trying to think, of the women who could fill her spot. I don't know. I mean, I guess Zelina Vega would make sense, but that's a bigger name, and to have her debut on the buy-in, which I guess necessarily isn't a bad thing because you get people to tune in for that, and then hopefully that draws them into the pay-per-view, which is the point. That's why they call it the buy-in.
Exactly.
So, that wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing, and I think a lot of people would tune in to see that, and it might actually work. They might actually pop a couple extra pay-per-view buys out of it because people would be intrigued. So I'd be down for that as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be an interesting night as far as pay-per-view buys when you think about it, because you already moved it once because you're trying to avoid that Mayweather, was it Logan Paul or Jake Paul? Which Paul was supposed to fight? Logan Paul, right?
Oh, man. Yeah, Logan Paul is the brother that's going to fight Mayweather. Jake Paul's the one that's fighting Ben Askren.
Okay, well, apparently the original date of that boxing match got moved, so AEW moved, but then they canceled that match anyway, or rescheduled it again. So AEW could have stayed where they were on that Saturday, but, it's going to be interesting how this number goes, because you also have the NBA All-Star game that could affect the number. And is Shaq going to be at this show, or is he going to be covering the All-Star game? He disappeared in the Olympics.
He's going to resurrect like the Undertaker at the top of the Titantron. One of your most favorite wrestling moments, Michael, is going to be recreated tonight as Shaq rises from the dead, essentially.
I love that moment. 1994 Royal Rumble, Undertaker rises from the casket over the screen. Very cool moment. Even especially then when production wasn't as good as it is now. Imagine if they did that today where the production value could be so good. But yeah. Let's get
the other thing really quick you got to take into consideration as far as affecting pay-per-view buys. UFC did have a really big card last night.
They did.
UFC pay-per-views, I think, are like $60, $70. I did not buy it last night. But, with those going back to back, if you're somebody who watches UFC and AEW and you have to choose between the two, it's over $100 some odd that you're going to spend on pay-per-view. Not a lot of people are going to be willing to do that. So that may scare a couple people off as well.
Right. Now that we covered the buy-in, just to confirm, you're going with Britt winning?
I got team Britt Baker. DDS.
Team Britt Baker. All right. So Britt Baker wins. She's DMD, not DDS. She's not Isaac Yankem.
Oh, yes. I'm thinking Isaac Yankem.
Yes. They're different degrees. But let's get into the actual show itself, the main show, and let's get it out of the way, because let's get heel Ralph here and out of the way. Miro and Kip Sabian square off against Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor.
Oh, I thought you were going to bring up the Young Bucks already.
No, that's later. That's later on.
Okay.
I want this one here because we all know how you love Orange Cassidy. We know how much you love Miro being booked in AEW. They're doing so great that you want this to go first. I know you're excited for this to be the first match of the night if it ends up being that. But with that said, who do you have winning this? Do they finally book Miro the way that they should be booking him?
I think so. Especially considering he came out in a very Rusev-esque, I guess you can call it, promo this past week on Dynamite. He talked in his native tongue, I'd imagine you could say. Yep. He very much said, I'm done playing the games. You're going to get who you wanted me to be. So I think that we're going to see a dominant Miro here. I think that Orange Cassidy will look good. And you know what? For what it's worth, I've always been consistent on this. I think that Orange Cassidy is very good in the ring. I think he's a good wrestler. I've always said that. I think that this match is actually going to surprise a lot of people, because I think Kip Sabian's good in the ring when he's in there with the right people. Miro can be good when he's working as a dominant guy, and Orange Cassidy is good. Now, Chuck Taylor, I guess some people could kind of be middle of the road on him, but I think ultimately this match will be good enough. But I think I see Miro and Kip taking this here.
Yeah, I think at this point they're really going to dominate, especially with Miro there. Now, the question is, do they have Orange Cassidy do the play kicks in this match? Or does he take it serious from the beginning? You definitely think there's play kicks in this match?
There will be absolutely play shin kicks on Miro tonight. I will put that take it to the bank. I can absolutely foresee that right now, and Miro will get like perform like a massive clothesline on him and just kind of, take him out. But the bigger question I think going into this match is, does Chuck Taylor side with Miro and Kip? Like, do we see a heel turn?
No, I don't. I mean, I think if anything, we'll get the return of Trent Beretta, but I'm not sure how long his injury was.
Right? Torn pec. I think that's what he had. It
was a torn pec muscle, so it should be like, I think they said 4 to 6 weeks. I'm not sure if they said weeks or months. It seems like a torn pec is like months.
Back when we first started this podcast, we actually used to have 1 or 2 roadies that would be able to help us or just kind of oversee the show. Had we had one of them right now, we could have them look that up. I'm trying to think back to when Triple H was out right before WrestleMania. I want to say that was like 3 or 4 months.
Mm-hmm. And wasn't Cena's injury when he won the Rumble? He came back from a torn pec, and he came back way ahead of schedule too.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Not sure.
I don't know if Trent Beretta has the same workout regimen as John Cena, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's him unless his injury's like way out there. I think he's out for a few more months. So, but yeah, I think here we got Miro. I got Miro and Kip. You got Miro and Kip. So I think at this point, we're 2 for 2. We're agreeing on both matches so far. But guys, thank you so much for joining us so far here on the Squared Circle Psychobabble, making our live predictions for AEW Revolution. My name is Michael Valenti. That is Ralph Valenti. And you see on the lower third right now, if you're watching, Merch-A-Mania is starting right now. So if you go to the link in our description, also click the pin comment in the live chat, use the promo code MANIA, get 20% off with the promo code MANIA from now until April 12th. You see the merch behind me. You also got mugs. You got hoodies. We got the Ratings 1849 t-shirt. A lot of stuff there. So definitely check it out. Again, 20% off between now and WrestleMania using the promo code MANIA. And while we're at it, we also got a $10 donation to the Super Chat Party. Thank you very much to The Art of Eating. I've been seeing him a lot in the comments recently. So he says, been a minute, wanted to say hi to my favorite wrestling review people. #joke question. How do you feel if Jerry Lawler walks out as the Hall of Fame person?
You want to take that one first?
I'm
getting vibes and flashbacks to when Jerry Lawler went to ECW. The lights went out, they came back on, and he just started going off on all the fans. And where was that? Hammerstein? I'd imagine it must have been Hammerstein.
I think it was Hammerstein. It was either Hammerstein or the ECW Arena. One of those two. You would probably be more accurate with that than I would. But if it's Jerry Lawler, that's definitely a disappointment.
It's a letdown. Yeah,
that is definitely a letdown.
I'd agree. I love Jerry Lawler. I thought that he was great during the Attitude Era as the sidekick to JR, but realistically, what's he going to bring to the table? I mean, that type of comedy.
Puppies!
Yeah, exactly. and you know, that type of commentary and comedy on commentary. We've seen JR make a couple of comments and people already kind of come after him with everything. So I don't know what Jerry Lawler would do. I don't foresee that.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll be him. I don't think it'll be him anyway.
Right. Yeah. I know a lot of people are talking about it. So let's just, get some ideas out of the way. I know a lot of people are saying it's Christian. Originally, the report from Raj Gary was he did sign a deal with WWE. However, he retracted that yesterday, saying no. In fact, the deal was with Fox, not WWE. We saw the Kurt Angle tease on Twitter, and that got everybody going. A lot of people keep, teasing. Who could it be? I think after Raj retracted his statement, I might have to go with Christian as the guy.
And how do you, so here's the thing. And we talked about this on our last episode. There is some guys that are really big to wrestling fans, but when you kind of use the terminology and the language that Tony Khan was suggesting, huge, he literally said, huge star. Christian was big, obviously, during the Attitude Era. Then he left, he went to TNA, and he came back.
Mm-hmm.
Do you consider Christian, at this point in 2021, would you say he's a huge star?
No.
And do you think that's like if it's Christian, as a fan, are you let down by that?
I mean, it's better than what it could be, because here's the thing with Tony Khan. Tony Khan definitely exaggerates, and rightfully so. He's a promoter. He has to make things sound like they're the best thing. But we've also heard him say that Hager versus Moxley was the best no DQ match ever. It wasn't even close. He said that there was going to be something that shifts the industry, and it ended up being the return of Pac. You know, that's not exactly industry shifting, but I mean, he could say it's Christian and be a huge star, and in a way, he was a huge star. But if I'm thinking huge star, one of his favorite wrestlers, it's got to be like Lesnar. It's got to be Angle. It's got to be Punk. It's got to be Batista. It's got to be one of those like names that not just wrestling fans know. And I know people said, what if it's Okada? That's a thing. That's a huge star for wrestling fans, but is it a huge star for the mainstream audience? In Japan, definitely. In the United States, not even close.
Right. And so in descending order, in that caliber of huge star, of the names that have kind of floated around, I would say that Punk would get the most attention because he's been gone a long time. There's every time, whether it's a Royal Rumble, whether it's a big pay-per-view, there's always the rumors that he's going to be coming back. So I say Punk's number one.
Yep.
Now, I don't think that he's going to be the guy. I'm just saying, in order for this to be as impactful as the language that's been thrown around out there, that's the type of guy you need. Punk, Lesnar, just because I think a lot of people think that Lesnar is a WWE lifetimer. A lot of people don't necessarily see him fitting in AEW, but he's a huge name outside of pro wrestling too. So I'd say Punk and Lesnar, and then I would say Angle. And realistically, I think Angle or Christian are going to be the guy. Let me
throw a name at you, because
go ahead.
Here's the other thing. I believe Tony Khan is like the biggest ECW mark there is. So could it be someone along the lines of RVD or Bully Ray or even Lance Storm?
No, I don't think it's Lance Storm.
But he's a huge star. Lance Storm is definitely a huge star. Just ask Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I almost thought you were serious there for a second. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm a huge Lance Storm fan.
Is that a pun or no?
No. I love me some Impact players. Maybe you can come out with Just Incredible.
Maybe.
And I certainly would not be opposed to seeing Dawn Marie tonight, but
no,
that's just the
or
teenager in me
if you bring Lance Storm back, you have him interfere in the tag team match, knock out MJF, you get the Thrill Seekers with Chris Jericho, and have Jim Cornette manage them, and that's the big huge star signing, Jim Cornette.
All right, so RVD, that could be, but at the same time, here's what I'm struggling with. Granted, Tony Khan has a tendency to exaggerate certain situations, but I would hope, and I know he's a promoter, but I would hope that he's learned from past mistakes. When you throw names out there, or you say things like huge star, and you go on Busted Open Radio and you essentially say, yeah, this is going to be a huge signing and you guys are going to be talking about it the next night, and it's a really big deal. There's only a few guys that can fit into that caliber. And the thing that I'm struggling with, it's going to be somebody that's older, because they're saying Hall of Fame caliber. I'd imagine it would be somebody that's older. So, Kurt Angle, okay, we know he's certainly well past his prime. He's gotten a lot. He's been off for a couple of years, which means he could have been active and getting himself into better shape, which anybody who follows him on social media, he has gotten himself in much better shape, and maybe he wants one more run. And Christian, I like Christian. I think he's a great wrestler. I always felt like he was one of the guys that could have been owed a little bit more when he was initially in WWE, and he had some opportunities. His feud with Randy Orton was one of his better feuds, and he had a championship run. It was a short run, but still.
Right.
But again, 100%, and maybe rightfully so, some people are going to look at that and be critical and say, well, how is that not TNA all over again? You're bringing in guys that are well past their prime, especially if it's Kurt Angle or Christian, because those are two of the guys that left the WWE for TNA. And, you could argue that Kurt had some of his better matches in TNA. So when you look at the landscape of AEW, you got a lot of good young guys that are up and coming. And then you're bringing some of these older guys, which I'm not opposed to doing that, but how do they fit in? What type of matches are you going to put them in? If they can go, they can go. I have no issue with that. But
Right.
that to me, this is the most intriguing thing because people are either going to be shocked if it's like Punk or Lesnar. Kurt, I think people would be okay with that. Christian, some people would be okay with that, or people are just going to be totally let down by this. And I just hope that's not the case here.
Right. We did get a $2 super chat here from Christian Bullard. He asks, who do you not hope the mystery people are? I just hope that the Hall of Fame worthy talent isn't like where Vince McMahon called Drew McIntyre the chosen one, and it's some like indie guy or Impact guy that's like for example,
Ethan Page.
Like Ethan Page.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the Hall of Fame worthy talent. Like, no, that would be so bad for him in the beginning if it ends up being someone like him. Like, think about how like far behind the eight ball Drew McIntyre was when he was called the chosen one. You know, I see people throwing in names like Dalton Castle. I'm seeing people throwing names like Marty Scurll. I'm seeing names, New Jack. I'm seeing names, you know, Tajiri. Now, some of these are joking, I'm assuming, but at the same time, I don't want those guys to be the mystery person either.
Is it Jay White?
No, it can't be. I think the signing is a exclusive AEW signing, so I don't think it's a New Japan talent that's crossing over the ocean.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. I mean, this is. There's a lot of intrigue. There's a lot of people talking about this. So, you know, Tony Khan can't afford for this to be a flop.
Yeah.
You know, because he has said certain things in the past. So who do you want it to be, and who do you think it's going to be? If you had one pick, who would you want this to be?
I want it to be Lesnar.
Okay.
I want it to be Lesnar because everybody wants AEW to be successful and they want them to hit that 1 million viewer mark or whatever your bar is for their ratings or whatever. Honestly, as someone that works in television, those ratings are not what television networks look for, but Lesnar could definitely be that guy that could bring them to the next level. That is the equivalent of, let's say, Macho Man in 93, 94, jumping from WWF to WCW. And I think that will start. If Lesnar moves, anybody can move from, and then that's when you could start like the war topic all over again.
Yeah, that's a huge signing because it essentially shows, look, it doesn't matter who you are. That in terms of free agency, unless you're going to go out and pay John Cena a lot of money, or The Rock or anybody like that, Lesnar's about a bigger name that you're going to get, and you know you're going to pay a lot of money for Brock Lesnar. And if that wasn't the case, there wouldn't be bidding wars for him with the likes of WWE and UFC and all those types of things. So he is a big name and he's a hot commodity. So yeah, I think that if they're going to actually truly try to shift the landscape of pro wrestling, that's a name you got to land. Mm-hmm. So I want it to be Lesnar. I think it's going to be Kurt.
Yeah. We did get another super chat here. Thank you for the $2.99 donation to the super chat party. Steve Negron, what is the status of Samoa Joe? He's in WWE. He's under contract. He's, I think, still injured. That's why he's still on commentary. So don't expect him to be the signing tonight. So it's not him. But let's move on.
Any chance it's Cena?
Well, most people would probably say no, but let's not forget, he is starting a show on TBS as the host of Wipeout. So he's under the Warner Media umbrella already. And Cody hinted that there's going to be some big things as far as crossover. Why not cross over John Cena and Wipeout as an AEW talent? I mean, I don't think Tony Khan would go out and say John Cena's his favorite wrestler, but who knows? We could be wrong. But all right, let's head to our next match here. The big money match. Matt Hardy and Hangman Page, the winner, wins the loser's first quarter earnings. This one's going to be interesting because it depends who's going to get involved. Is the Dark Order going to get involved? Is Private Party going to get involved? Is the Hybrid 2 going to get involved? Or is it just going to be a straight out match? If it's going to be a straight out match, I'm going with Hangman winning, but if there's interference, Matt Hardy wins.
Yeah, I could see that. I think that Hangman's going to win, and I think that it's going to be with the help of the Dark Order, just because they're trying to build that up. I can't, Matt Hardy, he's doing good in this role, but Hangman Page is a guy that can really be built up to challenge for the title and things like that. And I think that we will get him and Kenny somewhere down the road, so they got to build him up. So I'm going to go with Hangman here.
Yeah, I agree. So the next match that we have here is the Casino Tag Team Battle Royale, as I put it on the graphic here. Casino Tag Team, Casino Battle Royale, because I like to be redundant on things. But 17 teams have been named to this Battle Royal.
Jesus.
You have 3 teams from the Dark Order. You have SCU. You have Bear Country. You have Santana and Ortiz. You have the the Varsity Blondes. There's so many I can't remember them all unless I wrote them down, which obviously by now I don't take notes. I don't know if you have all the teams listed down, but a lot of them are going to be fillers. So basically, for those that are wondering how they're going to do this, it's essentially the Royal Rumble with tag teams. Every minute, 30 seconds, a new team enters. Both members of the team have to be eliminated. Both feet touch the floor, and then last team standing wins. So out of the teams that are in it, who do you think is going to win it?
I think that, look, the Dark Order having 3 tag teams in there, I think that they're still going to try to do a lot with Reynolds and Silver. Mm-hmm. They seem to be pretty hot, pretty over right now. I'm going to go with them. I'm going to go with Silver and Reynolds.
I'm going with Santana and Ortiz.
Okay.
And I think I might be tipping my hand at what goes on later in our prediction show, but I'm going to go with Santana and Ortiz. So let me pull up I have the card now with me in front of me here. So where are these teams? Did they get rid of the Casino Battle Royale? Or no? Here we go. Here are the teams. We have Bear Country, Reynolds and Silver, Uno and Grayson, Santana and Ortiz, the Butcher and the Blade, Private Party, Pac and Ray Phoenix, the Seidel Brothers, the Gun Club, Angels and Preston Vance, the Pretty Avalon and Cesar Bonani, SCU, the Natural Nightmares, Dustin Rhodes and QT Marshall, the Varsity Blondes, and Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if there's any extra teams. That's 17 teams to my recollection.
Did you say the Seidels?
Yes, I did say the Seidels.
I didn't hear you say them. But.
Yep, the Seidels are in there. Do you see anybody else added? Because we love how Royal Rumbles have surprises. Do you think we get a surprise tag team in there?
So no FTR, huh?
No FTR.
But do they jump someone and insert themselves into the match? Like, how do you not have them?
You could do that. You could do that. Especially
if there was going to be a surprise, I'd imagine that would somehow be the surprise.
Gallows and Anderson aren't listed in here either.
That's true.
And if Gallows and Anderson insert themselves, win, you got the Bucks versus Anderson and Gallows at some point, either this next Dynamite or, someone said Top Flight. They're not listed on what I saw, but I thought they were in there. But this match could be like an hour long if they keep adding tag teams. I think if anything, we might see 1 or 2 more tag teams.
Yeah, I really hope this doesn't turn into just a giant cluster and, overly complicated and convoluted. I think that this can be a very good match. I think the point of the match needs to be getting down to those 4 teams that you can really realistically buy as winning this match. And I wouldn't necessarily exclude like an underdog team. Like I think the Varsity Blondes can be one of the teams that can be in the final 4, the final 2, and people could get behind them, and that could be like a star-making moment for them.
Right.
But I think clearing out the ring and making sure that it's not just a giant cluster is going to be the thing that's difficult, because a lot of times with these matches, especially with AEW, they try to get too cute. There's all the flips and the spots and people standing around, and they don't need to do that. Like get them in. The teams that aren't going to be involved in the finish, like get them out of the way, and let the top teams go at it.
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, we'll see. But let's see what we got next. So we're going to do some questions now. Again, if you do hashtag question in the live chat. I'll go that in the order that they come in. But if you want to cut the line, donate to the Super Chat party like we've already had before with The Art of Eating and Steve Negron and Christian Bullard. Any dollar amount gets your question or statement read on the show. And also, Merchamania has started, ladies and gentlemen. Until WrestleMania, you could get 20% off with the promo code MANIA at checkout. Click the link in the description or the post on the pinned post on the live chat, and you'll see our gold SEPB podcast t-shirt right there. So let's see what questions we got here. What if the Briscoes are in the Battle Royal?
I was just going to say that too. And I didn't even see the comment, but that's what I was going to say.
Authors of Pain,
name
possibly,
too. Authors
too?
of Pain, yep.
Let's see, who else? Someone saying Vega helped Santana and Ortiz win. Someone asked, not wrestling related, but maybe break it up a little bit here. Ralph, what's your favorite Tupac song?
Oh, God.
Do you have a favorite Tupac song?
I do, but I'm not going to be able to.
Changes?
No. That's a good song, but I don't know. California Love is pretty good. Eminem and Tupac did something, I think, on the 8 Mile album that was really good. Not a lot of people know that song. I don't even know the song off the top of my head, but
right. Let's see. Remember, you need both wrestlers in the team. Yes, both wrestlers have to be gone. So does Moxley go to New Japan for a while, being off AEW TV? We'll answer that when we talk about the exploding barbed wire death match later on. Let's see what other questions we got here. I think a lot of them were just based on who the mystery person is. So we can move to the next match here. The Face of the Revolution ladder match. The winner will face Darby Allin this Wednesday on AEW Dynamite for the TNT Championship. You have Cody Rhodes, you have Scorpio Sky, Penta, Lance Archer, Max Caster, and another mystery person in this match. This is where I think the indie darling / Impact guy shows up, a la Ethan Page. Someone mentioned in the live chat that Warhorse dropped his independent title. Could it be him? I think that would be a letdown if it's Warhorse. I think it's Ethan Page as the mystery person, unless they go with Powerhouse Hobbs and he wins the thing. That's where I think I'm going with this. I think Powerhouse Hobbs is that sixth person and wins it.
I got 3 people in mind here.
Well, there's only
Sean
6,
Spears,
so there you go.
Well, 3 people that could potentially be the mystery guy, I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Sean Spears, because he just came back.
Mm-hmm.
Dark Horse, I'm going to say RVD. But that also depends on what his contract situation is.
I think he's a free agent. Oh, with WWE. I know they're doing that documentary.
The only reason I say that is, did he sign something? Because aren't they doing that WWE Icon show on him? Mm-hmm. And
yes.
You know, that'd be interesting. If he goes to AEW, like, do they pull the episode? I wouldn't be surprised, you know, but.
Well, I will say there are times where, like, for example, the Big Show just signed with AEW, and he's still involved in some of, like, the promos. Like, for Raw Talk, there's a promo, and the Big Show's in it, and they have not pulled that promo. There's also times where Matt Hardy does a story time interstitial, and they still schedule that. So they might still go with it, but maybe not pump it out as much once it debuts. I don't know. Same goes for Davey Boy Smith Jr. because the British Bulldog is doing an Icons episode too. So I don't think it's Davey Boy Smith Jr. and I don't think it's RVD.
Is it Aldis? It could be Aldis. And you know what? Even to a certain extent, because Kurt Angle's one of 2 things. Kurt Angle's either going to AEW or he's coming back to WWE or he's just trolling everybody, right? Because why else would you put that up there unless you're trying to get attention or because you truly intend to go somewhere? And Tony Khan, when he was asked about this, he said it's going to be somebody fun. You know, if Kurt Angle's
that could be
limited,
anybody.
True, but if Kurt Angle's limited as to what he can do, why not put him in a match with 6 other guys? And maybe he's not the guy that's going to debut as the, you know, somebody that gets signed later on in the night or whenever that ends up happening. But, you know, is it Kurt Angle? Is Kurt Angle going to be in the match? Because now he can work around 6 people, get his spots in, and work around his limitations. Maybe. I don't know. But I think I see Cody winning the match ultimately, because I think that him and Darby, even though they've been down that road, the dynamic between Cody and Sting, we still never got a conclusion to that. So how does that play into it? I'm not saying I want to see, I'm not opposed to Cody and Darby, but we've seen it already. But I could very realistically see Cody winning this match.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to throw some guy. Oh, how did we forget Sammy Guevara? Could it be Sammy Guevara as the 6th guy? And that's who actually I was thinking of heading into this weekend. It's probably going to be Sammy Guevara. But then I thought, all right, we got Team Taz. Powerhouse Hobbs has not really been in the equation in this whole storyline. Do they use him to keep the storyline going with Darby and Team Taz? So he becomes, essentially that 6th man like Brian Cage was in the casino ladder match back at Double or Nothing. So was it Double or Nothing or All Out? I forget which show it was. Had to be.
Which match?
When Cage debuted. That was Double or Nothing, right?
I believe it was.
Yeah, that was Double or Nothing, because then Moxley and Cage had their match at Fyter Fest. So yeah. I mean, Lance Archer's getting quite a push too. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's him.
Penta, I thought Penta was injured, and
this is his first match back.
Didn't Meltzer report that he was going to be out for like a long time, like a year?
No, if he did, I missed it. But
I could have swore he did. But
no, he's back tonight. This is his first match back from injury. Same with Scorpio Sky. That's why we haven't seen him either, because he was injured, and they just said that. So people saying, could it be Christian as the 6th person? I feel like the 6th person is going to be the one that wins it, whoever it is. My gut is telling me right now Powerhouse Hobbs, but who knows? Alexander Hammerstone, someone just threw in there. But I doubt it's going to be an MLW guy.
Jerry Lynn.
Why would they use him? The guy's... I mean, I can't use age anymore, because if you're 67, you can still have a wrestling match. So who knows? But speaking of Team Taz, let's talk about the street fight. The first match for Sting in nearly 6 years, as Sting will be teamed with Darby Allin in a street fight against Brian Cage and Ricky Starks. How involved do you think Sting gets in this match? I think after what we've seen the last 2 weeks, he's going to get a lot more involved than I thought he would maybe a month ago. But this is going to be an interesting match. I don't know if it steals the show, but it has the potential to be.
Darby's going to do some crazy stunts in this. You know that. Everybody knows that. I mean, the guy can have a regular match and have it be by standard pro wrestling rules, and still he'll try to put some crazy spot in there. So the fact that this is a street fight, I'm expecting something crazy out of him. Sting is going to be involved in this. We know that he's certainly been more active than I think a lot of people thought he was going to be, that taking the power bomb, all those types of things. And the fact that this is a street fight, I mean, you know there's going to be weapons and all those other things involved. So punches, kicks, I think Sting's more than capable of doing all those things. They could also find ways to get him out of the match for longer extended periods of time if they have to do that. So Sting, I'm really not all that worried about any spots they're going to do with Sting. I'm more worried about how crazy of a spot Darby's going to do tonight so he doesn't hurt himself. But ultimately, I see Sting and Darby winning this match.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, Darby with the title, I would think you'd have him take the win. If not, does Sting take the pin? Because you want to protect the champion, but do you want Sting to lose his first match in, nearly 6 years?
I think Ricky Starks takes the pin.
Yeah, I think so, because if they had Brian Cage take the pin one more time, I hate to say it, but buried. I think it's time to start throwing that word around, because it's not one loss, it's multiple losses. And he's already lost to Darby, and yes, I get it. It's the TNT champion, so it's not that big of a burial, but anytime Brian Cage has been set up to have a big win, he's been losing. Moxley, Darby. Yeah. So what were you going to say?
Did you watch the countdown to the paper to Revolution?
I did not.
It was good. I think the way that they kind of portrayed the story, so the dynamic they were trying to tell Darby was the one who was talking about it. He said that Taz is jealous of Darby because Taz felt like he didn't get his due. when he was in the wrestling business as a smaller guy. You know, Taz was an average sized guy, and it was easier to hide in ECW because they had a lot of smaller guys too. Granted, they were all in good shape. Well, most were good in shape. But it wasn't as noticeable against guys like Sabu and stuff like that. But when he went to WWE and he was standing next to her in front of Stone Cold Steve Austin, I mean, it was really obvious. Taz is much smaller. So I thought that was interesting. I thought that whole show, actually, the countdown was really well done. I think that they should have put some of that on Dynamite because it definitely drove home the fact that, you know, the pay-per-view is something you can't miss.
Right. Well, at least they put the countdown show on television so that people that want to watch it can watch it, and you're not like doing your homework and putting it on YouTube and Bleacher Report and all these other things. So I thought that was good. But unfortunately, I did not get a chance to watch the countdown show. But from what I've seen, people did like it. So we're going to take some questions now. But again, they're going in the order that we see them in the live chat using the hashtag question. But if you want to cut that line, donate to the Super Chat Party. Any dollar amount will do. We'll read your comment or your question, answer that, as well as we got our t-shirts. You see the hoodie and the t-shirt behind me. Also some other merchandise available. 20% off with the promo code MANIA as part of our Merch-A-Mania going through April 12th. So, Ralph, let's see what questions we got here. Which match do you think is going to be the bloodiest tonight?
Oh, come on. The death match.
It's got to be the death match.
It's the only one that essentially guarantees somebody's going to bleed.
The street fight, I mean, if they use the right weapons, can be bloody. The ladder match,
but that's also based on the assumption that neither Moxley or Kenny are going to be thrown into the barbed wire, which I think it's exactly. So they have to bleed. So that's like 100% guaranteed to have blood.
Right.
So I would say that match.
Yeah. Next question. Tony Khan said if Darby doesn't make it to Dynamite, he'll forfeit the title due to injury. I mean, if he doesn't show up due to injury, you think the plan is for him? Do you think the plan is for a new TNT champ at Dynamite anyway? It's a risky thing to say. That's from Lee Jones. That is an interesting, I mean, to hint that, obviously, one, they want to pump up the severity of the street fight, but two, the size difference of Cage and Darby could implement that he could get injured in this match. And if he can't defend his title, they're going to strip him. So whoever wins the face of the Revolution ladder match essentially becomes the new TNT champion. And does that kind of show, okay, does TK, Tony Khan, and Cody Rhodes say, oh, Darby's not healthy enough to compete if he wins the ladder match, and then Cody gets the title back through using his EVP power, and they start bringing that authoritative figure onto TV?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely interesting. I like the fact that he actually said that because now you have people talking about it. So it certainly is possible that could be a way out.
Right. With Elevation debuting, does this mean Ralph and Michael will have to do homework? No, because unless we're covering the show, we're not going to do. I mean, we might watch if we want, but I'm not going to say I'm going to go out of my way to watch it unless it's must-see television. And to me, it seems like it is going to be more of the talking aspect of wrestling more than the wrestling aspect of wrestling. So it'd be interesting to see how they push talents that way. But I don't know if
superstars.
Exactly. It'd be more like superstars. And, you know, when you have so many hours of television and so many hours of wrestling, I don't know if I'm going to be like, oh my God, we have to watch Elevation to progress the storyline.
Agreed.
What if CM Punk pulls a Jon Moxley type debut tonight?
It'd be great.
That would definitely shake the industry, I think. But I don't think it's Punk. I don't think so. But do you see Ric Flair eventually joining AEW to reunite the Four Horsemen and mentor a new version of the Four Horsemen? No, because she's in her storyline with Charlotte. Eventually, probably not. Because I think, well, I mean, at this point, if Big Show left, anybody could leave. But I don't think Ric Flair is one of those guys that's going to leave.
I don't think so either. I think that he's going to finish off his career in WWE.
Yeah, I think so. But again, you guys can donate to the Super Chat Party any point of the show. And we also got merchandise available, 20% off with the promo code MANIA. Click the pinned comment in the live chat. Also link in the description to get your official SCPB merchandise. But let's head to the next match here. It's the Women's Championship match as we head down. Actually, there we go. Women's Championship match. Riho Mizunami challenges Hikaru Shida for the women's title. Ralph, where do you see this one going?
Oh boy. I guess Shida by default. I don't know. We've covered this already. I don't think that the tournament did any favors for anyone. I don't think that the tournament was booked very well. I don't know. I'm gonna go with Shida, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if they're going with Riho Mizunami to win this thing, I would think she ends up taking the title, but I don't know if that's the right move at this point. But I think this is going to be a quietly good match here. I think this one here could essentially be like the surprising match of the night. This one might, I don't know if I want to say steals the show, but it's going to surprise people seeing that most people probably have not seen Riho Mizunami before the tournament. So people might be surprised with what we're going to see between these two. From the little bit of exchange that we saw on Dynamite this past week, there was definitely some stiff exchanges between Shida and Mizunami. So it could be a stiff matchup, and I definitely will take the hard strikes over the flip-flops any day of the week.
I think that the thing is going to be this. Are people invested in this match enough to even pay attention or care about it to the point where this does anything for Riho? You know, like are people actually going to be bought in? Are they going to stay tuned? Are they going to watch it? Are they going to mess around on their phone and not pay attention? I mean, I don't know. Some fans may just tune out because, it's tough it's a tough match to get into unless you really are a diehard fan.
Yeah, I agree. So, you have Hikaru Shida retaining?
I do, yes.
All right, I will stick with that. I'm going to go with the Shida retention as well. But let's go to the tag team match. Let's bring back heel Ralph. It's the Young Bucks versus Chris Jericho and MJF as they challenge for the AEW tag team titles. This one, I know you caused a lot of ruckus here, Ralph, with your comments on the promo last week. So what are your thoughts on this matchup?
I think the match is going to be just great. The only thing I would just hope for is just two things, really. One, keep Papa Buck away from the ringside, because if that man has to use any more fake blood, I might have to ask for a refund. And two, if the Young Bucks win or even if they lose, just don't let them cut a promo and everything should go smooth and everyone will go home happy, including myself. Right.
Now, do you think the dynamic of this match where you have the high-flying Lucha Libre-esque style of the Young Bucks and the more grounded approach of MJF and Jericho might actually get people surprised, and this match actually ends up being a very good tag team match, given that some people might say Jericho's limited in his years right now. So
I have no doubt. I mean, look, whether you want to say Chris Jericho is past his prime, which most people would say he was, or if he's questionably out of shape, he's certainly not in the best shape of his career. It's a tag match. I think that he'll go out there as a true ring general and professional and be able to perform to a good enough level where fans are happy. I think that the Young Bucks being athletic certainly helps the case. I like that usually when the Bucks are put in a match like this where it's their athletic dynamic versus the more traditional grounded wrestling approach, those matches to me are the ones that I like best. Their match against FTR I thought was very good. Going back to their match with Cody and Dustin, I thought that match was also very good. So I think this match is going to be fine. I don't have any issues with the match itself. I think it's going to be very good.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great match. But because I have Santana and Ortiz winning the Casino Battle Royale, I'm going with Jericho and MJF winning this thing. And eventually we get the Inner Circle split. MJF getting what he essentially wants is the dissolving of the Inner Circle, and it starts with this tag team championship match where Santana and Ortiz finally get pushed as the top tag team that they need to be, taking the titles off of Jericho and MJF eventually.
Yeah, I do agree. I think that the Bucks are going to drop the titles here. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw if Gallows and Anderson somehow get involved and a heel turn from them. And I guess they're technically heels or I can't keep it straight because they're kind of involved with Kenny, but they've been helping the Bucks.
Right.
So I'm going to say the Bucks drop the titles here to MJF and Jericho.
Now, I understand that AEW splits their pay-per-views 3 months apart, unlike WWE that only does it 1 month apart. But we, excuse me, we just had this conversation of The Miz winning the WWE Championship and dropping it to Lashley, and people don't want two transitional champions between pay-per-views, between Elimination Chamber and Mania. Essentially, the Bucks, you could kind of say they were transitional champions. FTR were transitional to the Young Bucks, and the Young Bucks were transitional to MJF and Jericho, who then transitioned to the next pay-per-view with Santana and Ortiz. Now, given you have a 3-month span, so maybe people don't consider that transitional champion. Do you consider it transitional champions from this point or no?
No, I definitely would. To me, a transitional champion is like you win it at a pay-per-view, you lose it at Raw like The Miz did, or you win it at a pay-per-view, you lose it at the next pay-per-view. I think with AEW, there's just a lot of time in between pay-per-views because they don't have one every month like WWE.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't consider a transitional champion if they were to drop the titles tonight.
Okay. Well, we did get some super chats here, so let's get that out of the way. The Art of Eating with another $10 donation. Thank you very much. He says, this one's for Ralph because people are always ragging him in the comments for his opinions, but I actually like that. He isn't a yes man like people want him to be.
Yeah. No, I think that what I try to do is present exactly what Michael and I say we're going to present every single week. Unbiased wrestling commentary, so if I like something, I say it all the time, whether it's AEW or WWE, I'll praise it. If I'm not necessarily into something, even at the expense of getting some people upset to the point where, yes, I know that some people say, I'm not going to subscribe. You're wrong. You're off. That's fine. At least we're having a conversation. I would rather be myself and have people disagree with me than just kind of go along with everything and sing the praises of any company. So, whether it's a promo, whether it's a match, if I like it, I'll say I liked it. If I don't like it, I'm going to say I don't like it.
Right.
And just me being honest based on my opinion.
Right. And that's what we try to go for. I know, sometimes our audience has more of a AEW fanship than it does WWE, but that doesn't mean that we're going to be pro AEW with everything that we comment on. We're going to criticize both shows, good or bad. Now, you want to take it as, where pro AEW or pro WWE or anti WWE, whatever the case may be. That's, we can't change our opinion on that, but just know we do criticize both. So, or promote both. So, but we also got another $5 donation. Griff Emerson asking about Jerry Lawler being the surprise as his contract expired on January 10th. We already talked about that. I don't know if he caught us in the beginning. We did talk about Jerry Lawler being a possible contract guy. I think that'd be a letdown if it's Lawler.
Yeah, I agree. I really sincerely hope it's not Lawler. I don't think it would be anyway. I really don't.
Right. All right. Shall we get to the main event, Ralph?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Let's do it. The main event of the evening. It is Jon Moxley challenging Kenny Omega for the AEW Championship in an exploding barbed wire death match. The rules are simple, folks. 3 of the 4 sides of the ring will be wrapped in barbed wire. I guess the 4th one has to be taken away due to emergency purposes. Also, the C4 explosives are triggered once someone connects to the barbed wire. After 30 minutes, all the explosives just explode simultaneously. And I guess first person pinfall or submission wins. This is going to be interesting, Ralph. A lot of blood, a lot of burns. Who ends up victorious? I don't think anybody really comes out victorious here, but who walks away champion after this blood fest, this explosive barbed wire death match?
Who walks away with the championship? I think Kenny wins. I think that Moxley is going to go away for a little bit. We know that he's going to be a dad. He certainly had that promo. And mind you, this was an example of a good promo. And I won't go down that rabbit hole again because I already know I've upset enough people with my comments about promos last week. It wasn't even a week ago, but the comments were certainly off the charts with all types of different takes on it. So
yeah.
Moxley seems like he's on his way out for a little bit. That's okay. Sometimes it's better for guys to go away for a little bit and then come back because it makes it feel that much more special. I think that Omega's going to win. I think that this match is going to be pretty gory. I think that it's going to turn some fans off, but like the example I give all the time on this show, when you're driving down the highway and there's a car crash off to the side of the highway, do you slow down to look? Most people probably do. So whether you're watching like glued to your TV or kind of peeking through your fingers, I think that everybody's going to be paying attention to it. And I think that it's going to get a lot of attention coming out of the pay-per-view too.
I think so, and especially because this type of match was huge in Japan, and I know Kenny Omega, Tony Khan, they definitely want to bring some of the Japanese aspect into American wrestling. Maybe something that we saw in WCW and ECW in the past. So this is just their aspect of it that they want to show to the American audience. And you know what? You might have seen what ECW's done, but this could be a lot worse. And it's not for the faint at heart. So this could, viewer discretion advised. Now, I also say that they could really hype it up as this really dangerous thing and end up not being as dangerous at all. And people might be like, really? That's it? I hope that's not the case, but I think this match is going to be very, very entertaining, to say the least.
I think it comes down to how far are they going to go with this? If they stick to, look, you can certainly gimmick barbed wire. You can certainly do things like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, it wouldn't be the explosives. Look, they're going to do this safely. I really don't think they're going to try to jeopardize their world champion in a match where he can potentially like lose a limb or get seriously injured by the explosive aspect of this. I could be wrong, but do they go down? Do they go further? Do they incorporate thumbtacks? I think that certainly could be something that they look at. But like, glass shards and fluorescent tube lights, like indie stuff like that, deathmatch stuff like that. That stuff would turn, and I'm a big wrestling fan, but I'm not into that type of stuff. That's too far for me. I can do the barbed wire, can do the tacks, chairs. Growing up, watching the Attitude Era, watching ECW, seeing Mick Foley in Japan, I've seen quite a bit. But I've also seen certain things on YouTube with the fluorescent tubes and the glass. I'm not into that stuff. And I think that turns off a lot of fans too. And I know a lot of people are into that gore stuff too. But I just hope they don't jeopardize the integrity of both of these guys. Moxley to some people is a turnoff because he has that, that deathmatch stigma to him. Like all his matches need to be like death matches. That's what a lot of people say.
Mm-hmm.
But Kenny is viewed as the best wrestler in the world by a lot of people. Yeah. And I hope they don't hurt the integrity of these two going out there and being able to work a good match. Because you can certainly, I used this example a couple of weeks ago. Mick Foley and Edge had a great hardcore match at WrestleMania that still didn't ruin the integrity of what a good wrestling match to me would be. So if they can do it within a certain, within certain boundaries, I think people will be into it. But if they start going overboard, I don't know. I just hope they don't get too crazy with it.
No, I don't think they're going to get too crazy with it. I think just the explosions might be like a spectacle more than really pushing the envelope, like with the glass shards and the fluorescent tube lights, stuff like that. I think this one might not be as severe as that non-sanctioned match was, but I think it might turn some people off knowing that there's going to be barbed wire and blood all over the place and the explosions. Some people might not like explosions, whatever the case may be. And this whole like Moxley chamber thing that Kenny Omega was teasing, at the 30-minute mark, does he get trapped into it and he just explodes and that's how they write him off television?
Fatality.
Yeah, exactly. Like Kenny Omega's a huge video game guy.
What was the one where they blew up? Was that Brutality?
That was a fatality from Kano, I think.
You're probably right. Or was it like what was his name? Cyborg or something? I forget.
There was Cyrax, I think.
That's right.
I can't remember one. Cabal was one, I know. Jax, Sonya Blade. I have Mortal Kombat 11 and haven't played in like a year, close to, but I got to pick up that game again at some point tonight. So, all right. So there are a couple super chats here. So let's get those out of the way, Ralph, before we make our prediction on who wins this thing. We have Mario Morales saying, stop apologizing to people. If they don't like your comments, you tell them, kiss my grits. Go to the moon. Lee Jones with the $5 donation. I hope I got that right. I don't know why I can't figure this out by now, but Ralph's cat is missing again. Why? Is he gone to Jacksonville by any chance? We all know he's a big star. So where is he, Ralph?
The cat is going to debut tonight on AEW. He'll come out from under the ring and cost Moxley the match with a devastating claw to the back that will slice him open.
Right. And Darlene Bimbai donated $5 as well. She says Moxley loses, leaves AEW for a while, then comes back. Does he come back as a heel? Or is his first feud? Who is his first feud when he returns?
Depends who debuts, maybe. You know, Brock and Moxley certainly have some unfinished business from WrestleMania.
Everybody loves that WrestleMania match, though, because Brock really did not give any effort to it, unfortunately. But when he gives an effort, he does put on a very good match. But I think if he comes back and he's gone for a while and Kenny still has that title, you could still revisit it. So, you know, I would say he revisits Kenny if he's gone for a while. I mean, especially if he's going to be blowing him up at the end of this match with the exploding barbed wire. So we'll see how it goes. But I think that's all the super chats for now. Who do you have winning this?
Kenny.
Yeah, I'm going with a Kenny retention too. So I think we have some time for a couple questions here before we head on out. Again, we're going in the order people put in the live chat. You could also donate to the Super Chat Party. Any dollar amount will do. And also, Merchamania, 20% off using that promo code Mania at checkout. Link in the description. So, let's see. Here it is. What if Sami Callihan is going to cost Moxley the title at Revolution? Fantasy booking at that point. I don't see it going to be Sami Callihan. Ralph is a good heel from the Good Brothers third member. Someone saying that you're a good heel.
Comes naturally, I guess.
Yep. Next question here. More of a comment. Someone agreeing with you saying the Bucks promo was trash. Tony Khan should book you both at Revolution. As wrestlers, definitely not. Maybe as a commentator,
what would happen? I'd imagine I'd have to confront Orange Cassidy, my arch nemesis.
Yep. Maybe have a play kick match. There is a 30-minute countdown to the explosion. So there you go. Yes. Please add a third member to your podcast. Maybe Brian Alvarez. With all due respect to Brian, no. I don't think we would see eye to eye on a lot of things. Nope. Especially when it comes to television ratings, seeing that he's never worked in television in his life. But I hope Kenny wins. Moxley's matches just don't do it for me. That's from Leon, the new geeks, I should say. Ralph and Sonny Kiss, the best tag team. What is your excitement level for this pay-per-view?
Good solid 8.5, I would say. Damn near a 9. I'm excited. You know, it has the potential to really live up to expectations and also has the ability to disappoint. I think there's a lot of things that people can tune in for. If you're into the Omega storyline, you could be disappointed if that match doesn't live up to what you're looking for. The debut of whoever it is, that cannot live up to expectation. Whoever's in the ladder match, I think that there's going to be more than enough that people are going to walk away from the AEW pay-per-view and be happy. But as far as right now, definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, I am. I think my excite level, especially because of the surprises, I'm intrigued to see what this exploding barbed wire death match is going to do. I don't want to overhype myself and say 10 because anything that doesn't become perfect is just a letdown. But there's a lot of intrigue there, so I'm with you. Like 8.5, I think is a solid number to be excited about. Next time AEW holds a press conference, will you be there? Depends when it is. And if we could get time off of work. I'm going to be taking a lot of time off of work in April. So hopefully it's not then because I'll be too preoccupied with something. But maybe I'll send Ralph and he can get all expenses paid vacation and get it as a tax write-off. But
you know, that once almost happened, right? When we first started the podcast, we didn't have as many subscriptions then. People were asking to send us, donating to send me to, what was it? Double or Nothing at the time?
Double or Nothing. Like they were trying to send us a Double or Nothing. I don't know how much money even got raised, maybe $5, but still the fact that someone said they wanted us to go to Vegas and they would pay for it.
It wasn't much. I think I could have bought a bag of beef jerky for the car ride. That's about it, but that's okay.
Pretty much. What about Conor McGregor as the surprise?
I keep seeing that. I honestly hope not. I'm a huge Conor fan, but I'm a huge Conor fan within the UFC element. Mm-hmm. When you bring somebody in from outside pro wrestling who's not a wrestling fan, I think you did because it looks like it's spinning.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Reconnection successful. So hopefully that didn't just end our podcast, but we're here. We're still here. There we go. Now we're live again. So yeah, in case you missed it, Conor McGregor, yes or no, Ralph?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Love him, but no, not for wrestling.
Okay. I will agree there and go with Mr. McGregor not showing up. Where's the next question here? Do you think Paul White misspoke? Didn't mean half the criterias or categories he stated and didn't expect the internet wrestling marks to take it so seriously?
Listen, any professional wrestling fan, it doesn't have to be an internet wrestling mark as whoever that was that said that put it. They take all of this stuff very seriously, especially when you consider that names that get thrown around quite a bit whenever it's a big debut. It's going to be like CM Punk's name will always get thrown around. Lesnar's name will typically get thrown around unless he's under contract. So, you got to pick and choose your words wisely, especially when you work in the wrestling business.
Yep. I know some people are asking about what the hell happened. I don't know. Our internet just disconnected. So I apologize. Thanks for everyone for joining us here. Maybe a super chat donation will help boost the internet connection for next time when we do the review tomorrow. I don't know. That never happens too. That was so weird. Someone hinting the Godfather is in the WWE Hall of Fame. Papa Shango isn't. Just saying.
I don't know about that.
Well, I think
maybe Kama Mustafa.
Maybe Kama Mustafa. Could be. What would be your reaction if CM Punk, Brock Lesnar, or Christian debuts? If it's CM Punk or Brock, then I think everyone is going to go nuts for that. Everyone. If it's Christian, I think it's going to get mixed reaction. I really do.
Rightfully so, maybe though. Rightfully so, because like I said, Tony Khan sometimes has a tendency to overhype things. I'm a big Christian fan. I always was, but I don't know. Yeah. To say somebody is a huge star, there's only a few guys, like I said, I keep saying there's only a few guys that can fit within that type of bracket there for huge stars.
Right. Next question. Are you doing an Instagram reaction like you did with the Rumble?
I can do that. We talked about this yesterday. I'm actually going to be setting up a studio in a different room in the house, so I'm not doing this in the middle of my living room anymore. And I think one of the things we can consider doing is actual watch-alongs or live reactions or something like that. So assuming I get that set up, we could probably be good to go by the next AEW pay-per-view, certainly by WrestleMania.
Yeah, I know people have asked us for a long time about watch-alongs. If you guys want it that bad, we could consider it. I know you guys are donating to the super chat, even on our 1 hour and a half donation, our prediction shows. So if you guys feel like you guys want the watch alongs, let us know. Someone saying that would be great. Loving that. So, maybe we put it into a poll. We're always using that community poll. So maybe tomorrow's poll is, do you guys want to see watch-alongs? Some people love them. Some people hate them. But we'll see. Someone said, I should shave my head like Ralph. Believe it or not, when we were in high school, it used to be opposite. I used to have the shaved head. Ralph used to be the one with hair. So I actually was just talking to my wife about this too. I'm like, I want to shave my head. And she's like, no, not happening. Well, then can I at least become a baby face and get rid of my facial hair? She's like, no, keep it how it is. Okay, but I need a haircut. $5 donation from The Art of Eating. Super chat for better internet. Thank you very much. And I thought I had the best internet, but apparently I need to upgrade here. Last question. WrestleMania. What is the AEW equivalent of WrestleMania?
I'd imagine. Well, I don't know. Would you say Double or Nothing or All Out or All In, whatever the hell they call it? All Out.
I would think it's Double or Nothing. But then again, like it's the way they push this show, you would think Revolution would be the show that is equivalent to WrestleMania. It's hard because most of the pay-per-views have been done without fans. So how do you really determine which one's the WrestleMania? Because obviously Double or Nothing was the first big one. All Out was a tie-in to All In. Full Gear definitely I don't think is. But Revolution? Imagine if Revolution was this card with fans. You know, would that really be like a big gate like WrestleMania is? Or would it be
So their next pay-per-view is what? Double or
Nothing.
No, which is when? June, July?
Memorial Day weekend.
Okay. So maybe this big debut is essentially confirming what we're talking about here. Look, I mean, whether people agree with it or not, states are opening up. Texas is essentially wide open.
Mississippi too.
Yep. And Dana White already talked about this. He's like, we're going to sell it out. I'll find somewhere to do it. So you know what? Does AEW go to Texas knowing that, hey, we're going to get this big, hopefully, I mean, we're going to get this big name to debut. Are they doing that anticipating, hey, we're going to get Punk, we're going to get Lesnar, and you know what? We're going to go somewhere and we're going to sell it out. That could essentially help confirm what their big show is. If it is Double or Nothing where they're trying to sell it out, I mean, maybe.
I mean, the thing is, like, WrestleMania is right in between both Revolution and Double or Nothing. So you can't even go by like a timing thing. Like All Out is like a couple weeks from SummerSlam. So I would say All Out is their SummerSlam. Full Gear is their Survivor Series. I would think like Double or Nothing might be their Rumble. But then, like, I don't know. I think it's just, that's a hard question to answer because there are different structures of how they do pay-per-view. So it's hard. I think we need more time to really decide which pay-per-view is the WrestleMania. But do you see any more questions here that we can answer before we head on out, Ralph? What happened to Dustin Rhodes? You'll see him tonight. He's in the Casino Battle Royal. Ralph looks like a thug. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Huge stars no one's talking about. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Imagine if the glass breaks. I don't see Stone Cold doing it.
Though? He's not going to work. He's not going to go back to work a match in AEW.
Up next on the Broken Skull Sessions, my next interview is with the one and only Kenny Omega. What? I don't know. But all right, I think that is it. Give it a month and every red state will be open probably. You can't put people in it. Why use the
It's
Jack
not just
Stadium?
red states. Connecticut's going to be pretty much open, in 2 weeks?
And that's like one of the most liberal states in the country. So
yeah, I mean, and again, I don't mean for this to be a political discussion. It's just the reality of the situation. Some states are opening back up and, businesses, especially businesses like this, where they're into selling tickets and that's their prerogative. They're going to try to sell tickets. Fans don't have to buy them. You don't have to go to the event. Fans choose to go. So.
Right. Exactly. It's all freedom of choice. So I'd like to thank everybody for joining us here on the Squared Circle Psychobabble. Also, big shout outs to our super chat donators today, The Art of Eating, Darlene Bimbai, Lee Jones, Mario Morales, Griff Emerson, Steve Negron. Thank you guys for donating to the super chat party. Your contributions will go to better internet for when we do the review tomorrow. Don't forget to share this all over social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at SCPB Podcast. And also 20% off now through WrestleMania weekend using that promo code MANIA. Link in the description. Also the pin in the the live chat. Definitely check out our merchandise, not just what's behind me. We got mugs, we got hoodies, zip-ups, we got mugs. We also got a shirt that says Ratings 1849 for all you rating lovers out there. Watch less wrestling every day. A lot of cool stuff, so check that out. AEW Revolution, what are your final thoughts before we head on out?
Tomorrow, we're either going to be having a conversation about one of the best pay-per-views that's been put on in a very long time or a very disappointing pay-per-view. I'm going to go with the first choice. I think they're going to live up to expectation tonight. And if the person debuting is either Lesnar or Punk, we will certainly be having the conversation that the landscape of pro wrestling has changed. So that's what I'm going to be interested in.
Yep. So, all right. Make sure you follow us on Instagram. Ralph's going to do live reactions at SCPV Podcast. I'll be tweeting at SCPV Podcast as well. For Ralph Valenti, my name is Michael Valenti. Thank you for joining the Squared Circle Psychobabble.